right, boys and girls. So today we are in lesson 2 of chapter 10. So we're in our module 10 through 20 book, page 243. And if you have your fraction tiles, I want you to grab those out. We're going to look and do a little bit with them. We'll see how good I can do that here. Okay, so today we're going to represent and find the size of equal parts, which of course is just what we're doing when we are dividing. Of course, we're putting things in equal parts. So we're going to represent this. So we're going to use some models, draw some pictures. This is very, very helpful. I like drawing the pictures because it's just something you can see and you can know for sure that your answer is correct. If you have your tiles, remember we made some, these are going to be very helpful for you. So try to get those out. We can draw it, but as far as drawing equal parts and knowing for sure that it's the right number, that's kind of hard to draw. I'll explain when we get to it. So if you have your tiles, that's going to be helpful. Because sometimes we'll draw a picture and we'll think it looks pretty even, but it's actually not. So, all right, let's look at this first one. So today we're going to divide a unit fraction, any fraction, a half, a third, a fourth, by a whole number. So we're dividing a fraction into whole parts, or whole, equal parts. A recreation center has a batting cage with a machine that pitches balls to the batter. 5 friends sign up for a half an hour of time in the batting cage. If they share that half hour equally, how much of the whole hour will each friend get in the batting cage? So like we said yesterday, think about what's being divided. We have 5 friends and they have a half an hour of time. So should we be dividing our friends or our time? Definitely don't divide our friends. We do not recommend dividing people. So we're dividing our half an hour among our 5 friends. So like yesterday when we had 2 whole numbers, we could write them on top of each other. But we can't really write a half over 5 because that's not what a fraction looks like. So here we know that we're dividing a half by 5. So we can draw it like this. Okay. If you have your fraction tiles, and let me see if I can show it to you here. Hopefully that'll be all right for what we're doing. I'm going to get my half out. And y'all, we've been doing enough with fractions that you probably may even know this without even starting. Trying to see if you can even see that. Yes, kind of. The half is kind of dark like the chalkboard. But probably when you see a half and 5 or 2 and 5, a number comes to your mind. And that number is probably 10. Okay? So if we have a half and we divide it in 5 parts, first thing I should know is that if I have a half and I divide it by 5, I'm going to get a smaller fraction because I'm taking this and I'm putting it in 5 equal parts. So I'm going to have a little piece of this if I'm one of those friends. So I'm going to have a number that's smaller than a half. So the number that I know, and I'm pretty sure, and so this is where trial and error is fine, but I know, that if I have a half and I divide it into 5 parts, each part is going to be a tenth, because I know that 5/10 is equivalent to 1/2. So if I take my half and I divide it by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to get 1/10. So knowing your facts is helpful, but the mistake that I see here a lot is I'll have students say the answer is the whole number 10. but that doesn't make sense because we had a half and we divided it in 5 parts. That means we have to get a fraction smaller than a half because we're dividing that half into 5 parts, okay? So a half divided by 5 would be 1/10. Look at me about to do what I said y'all usually do. All right, another way to do this, so we're not always going to have fraction tiles, and that's okay. So I want us to, now another mistake is that we have to represent what it says. It says a half. So I'm going to draw half right here. Y'all draw half on your page. This is where it's not really going to matter because we're just doing what it says as far as your drawing. So here's my half, and I'm going to divide it in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, let me make that darker. So remember, there's 5 friends. Each friend is going to get a chunk of that time. This one piece is represented as 1/10 because this is one part out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 pieces. So I hope that makes sense. So we've got to make sure that first we make sure that we put the number that's being divided first, and then if we represent it, we make sure we represent it correctly. Draw a half, one thing split in 2 parts, then divide it by 5. Okay, let's try another one. So each friend gets 1/10 of an hour. We can check this because like we showed down here, 1/10 times 5 does give me a half. 1/10 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/10 we know is a half, equivalent to a half. Turn the page. We're on page 244. The distance around the track at the rec center is 1/4 mile. Maida, Will, and Holly plan to divide the distance evenly to practice sprints. What distance does each person run? So it tells us here that they're dividing the distance. The distance is 1/4 of a mile, and there's Maida, Will, and Holly. What distance does each person run? So make sure that we're looking carefully at this. The thing that's being divided is the 1/4 mile. And what is it being divided by? It's being divided by 1, 2, 3 friends. 1/4 divided by 3. Sorry, my marker's not being nice. Okay. So write an expression, there's our expression, and draw a visual model. We've got to draw what it shows, which is 1/4. Draw it however you want to make your 1/4. Okay, we have one whole thing split into 4 parts. I have one of them, that's 1/4. Now I have to take my 1/4 and divide it into 3 parts. 1, 2, and 3. So if each friend is doing a section, they're each going to do one little piece. We need to see what that piece is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They each have to do 1/12 of the distance to equal 1/4 altogether. What visual model did you use? I drew a rectangle, a 1/4 rectangle, and divided in 3 parts. How does your visual model show the distance, how the distance around the track was divided? Well, we divided into 3 equal sections. Are we still recording? No. Yes. And let's see here. Okay. How can you use your visual model to show the distance each person runs? Just like we did. We can count that section. All right. Use your visual model to write the division equation that models the situation, just like we did here. But an equation has an equal sign. 1/4 divided by 3 equals 1/12. So each person runs 1/12. Okay. All right. Turn the page, 245. Lainey, close the door. All right. 1/3 of the rec center pool is reserved for lap swimming. If this part of the pool is divided equally for 2 swimmers, what fraction of the pool will each swimmer have? Model it with an expression. Think about what's being divided. 1/3 of the pool is for lap swimming. If this part is divided equally for 2 swimmers, what fraction? So again, are we going to divide our 1/3 of the pool or our 2 swimmers? We're going to divide our 1/3 divided by 2. That's going to be our expression. Okay, so then it says place a unit fraction strip under a 1 strip. Okay, so let's come back down here. We've got our 1 that just helps us. Okay, so let me find my 1/3. And I'm putting a 1/3 into 2 parts. When I see 3 and 2, I automatically think of the number 6. And I know that 1/6 plus 1/6 is 2/6. And I know 2/6 is equivalent to a 1/3. So if I have my 1/3 and I put it into 2 equal parts, each part is going to be 1/6. So we're going to draw that. Okay, so we've got that model, but let's draw a 1/3. And again, as you can see, it does not matter if it's perfect because mine is not. If we divide it by 2, boom, divided by 2. See, there's your 1/3 divided in 2 parts. Each part is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1/6. So if we're going to write an equation, 1/3 divided by 2 is 1/6. 1/4 of a cheese wheel is divided equally among 5 people. How much of a wheel of cheese will each person get? So I feel like you guys are going to start getting really quick at this. Just make sure that your answer makes sense. Most of you, when you see 4 and 5, are going to think 20, which is good. But is it 20 or is it 1/20? That's the mistake that I see a lot. So let's think about it. If I have 1/4 and I divide it in 5 parts, would it make sense that everybody's going to get 20 pieces of cheese? 20 whole, the whole number 20? No, I didn't even have that. I only had a 1/4. If I'm dividing that 1/4 into 5 parts, that'd be 1/20. And I love if you draw a picture. We've got room. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 1/4. Let's split it into 5 parts. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I can easily see if this is my piece of cheese. This is my 1 piece. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. I'm getting 1/20th, not the whole number 20. Okay, let's look here. Draw fraction strips to find it. You can use your fraction strips. You can draw a picture. 1/6 divided in 2 parts. 1/6. Yes, y'all can see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one of them. Divided in 2 parts. It's going to be 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 1/12. I know 6 times 2 is 12. And 1/12 makes sense because I know my answer is going to be smaller than a 6. So I know that y'all are going to get to the point where you don't need to draw a picture or make a model, and that's good. But really, it's a good strategy to have because they're very quick. If you have a half and you divide it in 3 parts, 2 times 3 I know is 6, but this is 1/6. Here's my half. Here's my 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. Each part is 1 out of all 6. A third divided by 4, you're probably thinking the number 12, which is right, but it's 1/12 because I had 1/3. I had less than 1 to start with. And I divided it in 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each part is 1/12. So I hope that makes sense. And continue doing your work. And if you need me, let me know.